Okay, so I know that you are like you just came off of the ICD 10 season. It's like a football season, but worse. Is what I. It's like a one-time football season as people went really from converting this ICD 9 data over to ICD 10 and really just sort of consuming it and being part of the ICD 10. So just on your side, what were the big lessons that you learned out of this sort of a crazy mad dash at the end? Felt like it, at least to me. What were the positives? What were the negatives? What sort of takeaways can you take from the ICD-10 changeover that we just kind of went through?
Well, what I found with ICD-10 is very similar to a lot of projects and the way that human nature is in general, is that people just sort of procrastinate.
Hmm.
Yeah, they do. People just
Weird.
procrastinate. So even though ICD-10 was supposed to happen in 2014, and we were kind of ready for it, and then all of a sudden we had a whole nother year to plan for it. Um, some groups were good at planning and made a good solid transition plan and put a lot of effort and work into it. And then we had organizations that called us a week before October 1st and said, we need to do something with ICD 10. So, obviously those groups, we struggled with to try to get them to where they needed to be. So, as with any sort of major transition, I think planning is important. But you also have to be willing and able to sort of be flexible and go with the flow a little bit, because there are things that change. GE released an update for us, 2 weeks before the deadline. I mean, there was just a lot of transition. So people, you can plan as much as possible. You can say, okay, we know that it impacts these three specific areas, but you have to be able to kind of be fluid in your plans and be able to adjust as needed for not only those groups that have planned for a year, but the groups that have planned for a week.
Sure. Yeah, and from my side, it's about communicating that. And when you have 50 different groups, 20 different groups that are all trying to do the same thing at the same time, just keep managing that communication feels like a full-time job.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a full job, and people communicate on different ways. Some people prefer to communicate with email, some blog, some you have to call. So definitely communication is a very key factor in knowing the best method of communicating to people.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Hey, great insight as always. It is fantastic to talk with you. You're always kind of giving me stuff that makes me walk away and go, huh, yeah, I'm going to have to think about that a little deeper. So I really appreciate that and really appreciate the work that you're doing in healthcare right now. Any final thoughts?
I think that I am very excited for 2016, and we'll see what happens. Get through the rest. I guess I shouldn't wish away 2015,
Yeah.
but I think that there is certainly a lot of new and interesting stuff coming up for the 2016 year. So I am just excited, ready to go.
Sure. Cool. Excellent. Well, thanks, Jen. This wraps up our next episode, or this episode of Meridios U, and we're on to the next. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Pat. See you
Hmm.
later.
Yep.